Good morning. I am Chris Steyerwalt, and these are your buzz cuts from Fox News First. Obamacare? What Obamacare? What are you talking about? Oh, wait. That's right, that huge law. So President Obama waited almost or about 40 minutes into his State of the Union speech to mention that giant law. And what he said about it, he could have said in 2012, except for the part where he fudged the numbers about enrollment. It was remarkably short shrift for his signal achievement. What does that mean? And what does it say about the status of Democrats in red states? We'll talk about that. Number two, the president buys his talking points in bulk. Costco. Have you all ever had the Kirkland brand peanuts? They are delicious. The big Virginia ones, they're good. Costco has many wonderful things. Today, it has President Obama, who is there to talk about raising the minimum wage as he carries out sort of the coda of his State of the Union address as he goes there. He also will go later today to Wisconsin. Or no, he'll go to Tennessee and Wisconsin tomorrow. Later today, he'll be with Yins in western Pennsylvania at the West Mifflin steel plant of U.S.C. Obama did buy bulk in talking points. I told you that. Bridenstine is out in the Sooner Senate stakes. This is going to be a good one, folks. I guarantee you. Jim Bridenstine, he's a congressman. He's a friend of Jim DeMint. He was thinking about maybe running for Senate in Oklahoma to replace Tom Coburn, who's retiring. He ain't. But the Speaker of their House, Mr. Shannon is in. T.W. Shannon is getting in today. He's going to go toe-to-toe with Congressman James Lankford, who is shaping up, and I don't mean anything by this, Congressman Lankford, as the establishment pick in the race. Can Mr. Shannon become the outsider? He did vote for Medicaid expansion in the state. It's going to get weird. It's going to get dicey. It'll probably be expensive, but Democrats can't win in Oklahoma. Anyway, number four, yeah. Rand Paul says Bubba's sexcapades were violence. So Rand Paul is kind of in the doubling down business. He doubled down to David Gregory about comments his wife made about what Bill Clinton did that one time with that one woman. But then, well, it was 8 times actually. But then last night he was on Special Report with Bret Baier. Bret Baier asked him about it. He called it workplace violence. Philippe Ranz's head exploded probably in real time. When will the Clintons crack back at Rand Paul, who has now essentially said that Bill Clinton is guilty of a sex crime? They're going to say something. And last, but definitely not least, why it's better to be a burglar in Sweden. A couple in Kvarnesen, Sweden, awoke to a noise in the wee hours. They found a hapless burglar on their balcony and quickly overpowered the man. While Americans in the same situation might be emptying a second barrel of buckshot into the burglar's backside, this turned out to be a very Scandinavian crime scene indeed. Homeowner Thomas Holmberg told the local newspaper of the would-be intruder, quote, "He looked forlorn and quite cold, so I thought he could use a gulp of coffee." The 21-year-old man apologized for the attempted robbery and then sat quietly drinking his coffee until the police arrived. Those Bergman-esque details and many others are available in your Fox News First daily free awesome political email. Sign up at foxnewspolitics.com. Give us your email address. We'll give you some laughs and some information every morning, but we're going to do it all right now because it's Power Play.
I do not expect to convince my Republican friends on the merits of this law. But I know that the American people are not interested in refighting old battles.
And that wishful thinking sprang from the lips of the Commander-in-Chief, Barack H. Obama, President of these United States, in his State of the Union, his 5th State of the Union address delivered last night. This is, in fact, Power Play. We're running on a ton of coffee, very little sleep, and apparently a lot of sarcastic attitude. I am sallying forth here to prop me up, to ground me, to steady my hand, is Bob Cusack. He is managing editor of The Hill. He is followable at Bob Cusack. He is also, and I say this every time, The Hill has been pretty much, I mean, something is different. The Hill today versus a year ago. Not that it was bad a year ago, but that are essentially killing you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we're always trying to get better, and hopefully in a year we'll be even better. And we got a bigger and better staff. So I got
a very political answer of you,
yes.
Bob Cusack.
All right, DC.
So exactly, it's a process. It's a process. We're all stakeholders here. All right. So the president, I was struck. So State of the Union speeches are boring and almost uniformly bad because
pageantry, blah blah.
Well, you got the pageantry. It's as Thomas Jefferson said, a royalistic spectacle, which is why he stopped doing it, and they weren't done until Woodrow Wilson revived the practice. But it's a terrible setting in the sense that you end up with, I call them Control X, Control V. Mm-hmm. Well, we got to have something from energy, so paste that in there, and then we're going to do something on this. And they end up being these sort of iterative, well, we got this, and it's essentially boring. But I was struck by how little Obamacare was in the speech. Mm-hmm. I was expecting that the president would basically do the 300, come and take it. This is the law, and we're going to save American lives. Right. Instead, he had a laugh line and was like, hey, call and sign up.
Yeah. No, I mean, mentioning Mad Men and a shout out to Boehner and Rubio. I talked to a couple of Democrats who really wanted a harder speech. They wanted to go after Republicans, especially in election year. I think the president, and I think John Podesta had some, Clinton-esque moments in there. We didn't see the soaring rhetoric. I think it was more kitchen table. And at the same time, so many people are so disgusted by the partisanship of 2013 that Obama's trying to turn the page. But as you know, Chris, I mean, there's no trust between the president. I mean, okay, he gave Boehner a shout out, but what's really that going to lead to?
Did you see the thumbs up Boehner gave when he was like, hey, John Boehner, your dad was a bartender? Boehner gave him like the,
I'm here.
Okay, man.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
You leave my old man out of this, basically, is what Boehner was saying.
That's right. It was a different type of speech, and he started out, I think, trying to talk up the economy. Hey, the energy, climate change is better, and climate change is real, but the economy is better. The unemployment rate is at a 5-year low. Usually he has a lot of caveats in there, and of course then he pivoted to minimum wage and unemployment benefits.
All right.
But overall, is anything going to get done this year?
You know who didn't like the speech?
Who?
Mark Begich of Alaska.
Did
super duper not like the speech, saying
on energy, right? Yeah.
Well, or on anything. He was generally frowny. Overall, I'm disappointed with the president's State of the Union address because he was heavy on rhetoric but light on specifics about how we can move our country forward.
Well, yeah, and remember when he got elected,
right.
Obama lost Alaska, I think, by 20 points or something like that. So
and this time he would lose it by 50 if he was right. It would not be super. But it's sort of like this for these. Harry Reid said yesterday to Donna Bosch on CNN that President Obama was going to campaign with these guys. He was going to be out with them. Here's my takeaway. I don't think the Democrats know really what they're going to say about Obamacare. You have to say something about Obamacare.
Right.
Now, the White House position is, hey, let's just wait till the enrollment period's done, get as many people signed up as we can, and then, it'll be a permanent fixture of American life, and we'll deal with it, and then we'll talk about the Republicans trying to take people's care away.
Right.
I don't think that that speech last night did not reflect to me a party ready to speak in one voice.
No.
On this law.
No, I think you're dead on. I mean, the administration, Democrats like Begich and others who are in red states want to, quote-unquote, fix it. And they have legislative proposals. Harry Reid is not allowed to vote on that. The administration doesn't want votes on that.
Oh, no.
So maybe it's wait and see, and then if it's still problematic, then they can come in, pass a bill, and we won't know the effect of it, of course, until maybe after the election, but they can say, well, at least we tried to fix it.
I posit that it is up to basically, if John Boehner will take up the Rubio no bailout bill, because the no bailout bill is the Obamacare kryptonite.
Yes.
Because the law can't really go into effect because the insurance companies will say, we're not going to bankrupt ourselves, so smell you later.
Right.
The president can't have that bill pass.
No.
Because it would gut the law. So if Boehner will pick up that law and use it and poke at Reid until you can get Begich and others to go on the record and say, I officially oppose bailing out Obamacare.
Right, exactly.
I'm sorry about that.
And that's the great message that Republicans can use, and they've started to use it, is bailing out insurance companies.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, the bailout's never
that's
very
not
popular.
exactly a Bill de Blasio
right.
bullet point.
That's right, and they're probably holding that, I think, for a little bit later in the election year.
I think they're holding it until they quit garroting each other over minor policy points. But that's just me. Bob Cusack, you are excellent. We are smarter. Thank you for your wise counsel.
Thank you,
steadying my caffeinated hand. Internet, I'm going to just let it rip after this. A couple of your very favorites, Chuck Rocha, Sarah Lenti will be here. We will talk about these Rock'em Sock'em Republican primaries that are going on, particularly the ones in Oklahoma and Nebraska. It will be fun. I will make corn jokes, so stick around. That is Tom Coburn, and he's walking on out of the United States Senate at the end of this year. So they're going to have an election down in Oklahoma, and this is power play. Now, a Democrat is not going to get elected to the United States Senate from Oklahoma any time in the next several light years, but the Republican primary down there is going to turn out to be probably very consequential. This is still power play. This is still excellent. And the excellence grows moment by moment as we welcome Sarah Lenti. She is a former director for the White House National Security Council. Dun, 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 dun. Don't mess with her. She's got the launch code. She's a Republican. She does stuff. She is important. Chuck Rocha, you know, is important. You know he does stuff. He is a Democrat. He is a union label man, and he is the president of Solidarity Strategies, Si Se Pueda, and the director of the Latino Project PAC. Welcome, folks.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Okay, here's the thing. And I want to talk about, they're going to have a huge debate in Nebraska tonight, and this thing is going to be like a rodeo out there. It's a four-man debate. There's two front runners. We'll talk about more about that. But breaking news in the Oklahoma race. Coburn, interesting. Tom Coburn, and I think we should point this out. Tom Coburn voted for TARP, right?
Right.
Tom Coburn is revered, lionized, appropriately, I would suppose, by conservatives as a guy who changed the discussion in the United States Senate, but now has defied orthodoxy on several occasions. What we are getting ready to see in Oklahoma, though, may be the most, we could have one of the most orthodox kind of conservative Republican fights in the state. An up-and-comer in T.W. Shannon, who is the Speaker of the House down there, and the guy I've heard him speak. He is evidently a good politician. A little more moderate, maybe. He voted for a Medicaid expansion in the state under Obamacare, was a proponent of it. On the other side, you've got Congressman Lankford, who is in the House leadership and stands to enjoy the Republican establishment support. It's a little weird down there. Sarah, what's happening?
So Oklahoma is a little bit like a high school student government race, I'd say. I'm serious. You went from 4 people possibly running. Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt.
Pruitt, I thought, was going to be in and
as
win.
did I.
Yeah.
And he should have won, and he would have won. And now you have Lankford, who used to be the head of a very large Christian camp. So he's well known all throughout the state.
As a Baptist preacher.
Absolutely. And then now you've got T.W. Shannon, who we understand there's some national backing for. So this is going to be quite the race, I think.
But now, wouldn't Lankford stand to have that national kind of support?
Actually, Bridenstine, all of the conservatives, apparently like the Club for Growths and the
Senate Conservatives Fund,
exactly,
were
supposedly behind Bridenstine. So the fact that he dropped this morning was shocking.
So somebody else is going to get in.
Well,
I think I see that. I mean, I think if you look at, and we've talked about who votes in Republican primaries, and it is Oklahoma, right?
Right.
A lot of Republicans who have ideological values that align with their party.
Arguably the most conservative state in Oklahoma is quite arguably the most conservative.
Not one single county voted for Barack Obama this
Not
election
one.
or last
It's
election.
like double West Virginia.
Absolutely.
and so it should have been Pruitt. I mean, he brought one of the.
But
I know.
Chuck he's got a thread he's pulling on. What do you
And I think
about?
that there's a piece of the party who are looking for something different. Well, I still think this thing is open for somebody else.
Agreed.
I think that if you have the people who vote in the primaries in this very conservative state, it's the most conservative of conservatives. And I think that expansion of a Medicare vote in the State House will hurt this.
Senate Conservative Fund is going to, the team to min is going to show here, right?
Absolutely.
But it's not going to be for Lankford.
Well, no,
He
it's
not.
voted
for all the Boehner
You're
bills.
right. You're right. It's
Right.
not, and it was going to be for for Breinstein. So now I don't know.
There is somebody out on the prairie rolleth a wagon full of conservatism.
Just watch this businessman, the one who's in it who hasn't raised a lot of money yet, and I haven't seen any of where he's.
At all.
I did some research this morning, but I don't know where he stands ideologically.
Probably writer and writer by the minute.
I used to tell people that if you got enough money, I can tell enough people that I'm Jesus Christ, and after a while, I'll start looking like I got long hair.
We do not approve of even medium blasphemy on this show, Chuck. No, you know that. All right, so here's the thing. In Nebraska, this one is even more complicated because this started out as what looked like it was going to be the proxy fight, maybe the marquee proxy fight between Jim DeMint and Mitch McConnell. The old foes, the old battle was going to fight because you've got out there you have Ben Sasse, who was a former Bush administration health department official who went out there to run a small college in Nebraska, and he very quickly got the right endorsement. He got the Senate Conservatives Fund and others, recently National Review cover boy. He has great hair, and he's there, and he's been on this show, and he makes a very good case about his Obamacare-ness. But then you've got Shane Osborne, who's former state treasurer. It was assumed there were some McConnell folks had a fundraiser for him, and Eric Erickson at Red State, and everybody said, well, this guy is the McConnell horse. And then here we've got, but it's more complicated than that because I think it's Club for Growth that's in for Osborne. This thing, they're going to have a debate tonight. I think there's going to be blood on the floor.
I think so, too. And I think if you look at the money that they've raised, Sasse has over $1 million cash on hand, and $1 million goes a long way in a Republican primary.
In Nebraska.
Right. You can buy all the TV stations you want. And I think that it's going to come down to the two components that you talk about. But I would watch this Sasse because of the money advantage that he has.
Yeah.
And I think that goes a long way with a small voter turnout in a small state.
But also, Osborne, who is a veteran, he was the guy who had the airplane incident in China back in the Bush administration. He had some line that was, if the communists couldn't break me, neither can Harry Reid. He is going to be able to raise money, and if he can use the veterans organization in the state, a small number, and we're probably talking about remember in these places, we're talking about maybe you're going to win with 65,000 votes. Maybe you're going to win with 80,000 votes. So small coalitions become important.
True, and he was also the former state treasurer. So his name recognition is up there. So I think it comes down to what Chuck said, it being a money race and who's saying what and what ads are being said and who comes in behind them with X amount of dollars. And I would like to talk about the Super Bowl. Say Omaha, Omaha. I mean, since we're talking Nebraska.
Well, okay, go ahead. Do your thing.
Well, I think the Broncos are going to do this.
Chuck?
Just to be the opposite of the Republicans, I'm going to say Seattle. Let's do this thing.
All right.
And to bring it all back home, if I was Osborne and I was running in Nebraska, and this Sasse guy spells his name S-A-S-S-C, if I wanted to win, I'd start running names and pronounce his name Sassy.
But see, I would go just the opposite. If I was Ben Sasse, I would say, I'm sassy when it comes to Obamacare. I'm not taking it. Call me sassy. I would definitely go with that. But maybe that's why I'm on this side of politics and not on the doing it side. You people have done it on the doing it side of politics, so you make us smarter and you help us understand things. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And it's going to be the Steelers. I don't know how it's going to work out, but there's going to be like a late, they're going to recall that thing in the Chargers game. Right. They're going to recall that thing in the Chargers game, and the Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm banking on it. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, how about coal? Yeah, we're going to talk about coal. Of course we're going to talk about coal. Mike Duncan, he is from Kentucky, which is almost heaven. It's pretty close to West Virginia. He is going to talk to us about what the president said about global warming. The president said climate change, the discussion is over. Mike Duncan does not think so, and that may be material when it comes to these Senate elections. We'll talk about it when we come back, so stick around.